on the channel, on the Incredible podcast. This is going to be a subsection of the Incredible podcast called Beyond the Canvas. I've called it that because I want to dive deeper into topics away from tattoo techniques, away from, you know, what inks to use, what needles to use, because there's so much information on this channel anyway, with that. And I'm still going to be doing that with other artists coming on to the Incredible podcast, but this is just something I wanted to try, and that's why I've called it Beyond the Canvas, because it's a deeper dive into topics that I think will help people grow and you know, further their career outside of, you know, physical learning. So the topics we're going to talk about today are manifesting, editing fresh tattoos for social media, going under anesthesia for a tattoo, fine line tattoos, will they stand the test of time, best countries to travel for tattooing, how much money is in tattooing, the hardest thing about tattooing, mental health, what's the best age to get tattooed, and are social media algorithms killing the industry? So get your comments in, guys. We're going to go from top to bottom. I'm just going to check the stream real quick to make sure we're good. And yeah, I've got the chat on screen. Damn, yeah, the G is back. What's going on, Ali T? So yeah, so I've been seeing recently. Let's get into manifesting. I've been seeing recently a lot of people trying to sell, you know, like life gurus and stuff like that. And if you're successful, I understand that you have to, you know, kind of push help towards people that are seeking that. And a lot of people in the world don't really know where to go for help, or, you know, there's so many sources of information out there. I think it is quite hard to figure out what to believe and not what to believe. So what is going on here? My chat has just ended. So yeah, manifesting. So I think a lot of people will actually, do you know what? I'll read something that I wrote on my Instagram story the other day, because I think it just resonated with a lot of people. I had a lot of feedback from that, and I said this: You're a tattooist. You put ink in the skin. You don't put people in space. You don't cure diseases. You don't solve world hunger. Too many people in this industry thinking they are more important than they are. Create art and stop thinking you're some God-given prophet. People selling mindset courses are fucking scammers in this industry. The allure of success often tempts some to exploit others through schemes like overhyped manifesting mindset courses. How well you tattoo speaks for itself in this industry, and I truly believe that. Put time into being the best artist by working on your craft. That's what I've always said on this channel. Only then others will want to learn the path you've taken. There's a fine line between arrogance and confidence. If you're a tattooist, be known for your art. If you have a story to tell, to inspire, not to scam people out of money. Give value people can learn from, not bullshit manifesting. Give people skills to add to their own art journey. What I've learned is you can manifest all you want, but if you don't put the time into a structured work routine, it's pointless. Actions speak the loudest. Manifesting is a bullshit term. I think manifesting being, you know, manifesting is a real thing, but in the way people are coming across, it's not, because they're saying, oh, you can have this life if you do this, you know, just write it down on a bit of paper every day and manifest it into existence, think it into existence. You can't think anything into fucking existence. You have to be able to put in the time and the work and follow a structured routine and a structured I suppose routine to get to where you want to be, but you have to put in the work. Just writing something on down in a diary, or writing something, just thinking it every day, it's not going to happen for you. Like it's just not going to happen. You have to put in the effort and the time into whatever it is you're trying to achieve, in order to get that. And only then there's like, you know, there's a bit of luck involved with that as well. So drive and ambition gets you where you want to be. If you lack that, then good luck in life. You need to be inspired, and sometimes even that isn't good enough. Some people aren't wired up that way. They're just happy to plod along in life. Being a creative is the only way you're going to make it in this industry. If you're not creative, just don't even think about it. You will need to put in your time to get to where you need to be, or to a level where you're happy with. If you just plod along, yeah, it's all right, I'll just tattoo like a couple of hours a week because I've got another job. You need to put all your bloody time into this. Otherwise you're not going to succeed. You're in constant competition with so many other people. This industry is so saturated now. You have to be one step ahead of them. If they're sleeping, you need to be up for a couple more hours working, you know, tattooing fake skin, designing on the iPad, you know, getting inspired by other artists. You need to always be outworking that person in order, especially if you're not gifted with, you know, picking up tattooing or picking up art very quickly, then you're already a step behind. I was quite good at art in school. I've always been creative. I make music. I have to do something creative every day, otherwise I go into a deep depression. And that's what I'm saying about that. Some people aren't wired up that way. They're just happy to plod along in life. Being a creative is the only way you're going to make it in this industry. You have to live, breathe and sleep tattooing. Give all your spare time to your craft to learn new things. If you don't, well, you just don't want it enough. You can manifest all you want, and I can tell you now, it's not going to become a reality. Without action, nothing improves, nothing gets done, and that's simple. So let me just sign in real quick to my chat because it's bloody gone. And then I can see what all you guys are actually. Do you know what? I'll jump on YouTube. So yeah, what are your thoughts on that? Because I think it's what's going on, Tattoo 6 from Romania. Ali T the Ghost says, man, you made me a better artist for free. I really appreciate that. I never forget you in all my journey. Please, mate, if you can put some more live and video here. Yes, I will be going into more in-depth, you know, tattooing and stuff like that. I've just been very busy with upcoming projects. I've got a very exciting project. I can't really say too much though. But yeah, manifesting, I think I wanted to start on this point because it's one of those things that people monetize, and I get, if you've got a story to tell, you should tell it to inspire for free. Like Ali just said, that's what I get the most out of helping people. I feel really good inside for helping people on their journey, and that gives me a sense of a sense of fulfillment, I guess. And what I think about manifesting is, yes, you can manifest. Yes, you can write stuff down and think it every day. And I suppose I have done that in the past. I have thought I want to be, I had goals, and I feel like goals is such a good thing to have in this industry, because I've set my, well, I mean, I've been tattooing 10 years now. So I set in my mind what I wanted to be known as, and I was tattooing from you know, like a converted conservatory at my mum's place when I first started tattooing, and I was looking at all these amazing artists like Eric Massinazin and Thomas Carly Harlier, and you know, I wanted to be known as one of the best artists in the world. And that just, you know, I had a deep drive to try and learn as much as I could. And I was always thinking, there's this secret thing that people are doing that I'm not doing. And I was getting frustrated with trying to shade smoother and put in, you know, the lines crisper. And it was just one of those things where now I look back my mindset back then, I'm thinking there wasn't a secret thing people were doing. They just put the time and the effort in to get your hand muscles better, to, you know, to control the needle more. And that's just what it is. I think manifesting, like, I think there's a market in being spiritual. And, you know, I'm spiritual in a sense. And I think that's what people are doing. They, you know, they show off the fast cars, they show off the money, they show off all this superficial shit that I think it shouldn't exist in the creative world. And people do that because it draws people in, and people, especially like younger males, for instance, because, you know, status for a male is very important to get what you want, you know, to have the pick of the partners that you want to attract, to be known as a successful guy. It's all about status, and that that comes with earning very good money. The average guy isn't attractive to women anymore. You know, the average guy that earns 50,000-60,000 a year, 5'9", whatever, in average shape, you have to be top of your game and in all aspects of your life. And I think this is why I wanted to do this podcast, because it just dives a bit deeper into what you need to be doing to achieve that. And I think it definitely helps. It's going to help if your personal life is routined and you're going places in your personal life. It's always gonna, no matter what you do, whether that's tattooing or, you know, into stockbroking or whatever, it's going to help you in your work life as well. So yeah, manifesting, man, it's just one of those things that you have to be careful. You have to really think, is because people, you know, show off the fast cars, they show off the money, they show off the watches and stuff like that. And I've been guilty for that in the past. And it is good to have nice things, but just be humble, man. Just be humble, because I think it's a very sticky, you become a bit cringy, you know, you become lost. You become lost in this superficial world that you see, you know, people getting followers and stuff like that, and going to press conferences where someone will be stood up in front of a crowd talking about their journey and stuff like that. And I rate that, because it's spreading their story. It's telling their story to inspire people, but you have to really be careful, because there's going to be people that have legitly done that. And then there's going to be people that are just in it for money. And I can see who's in it for money, especially in this industry. It shouldn't, I think it shouldn't be in this industry being like that. That's one thing I have to say about that. Just quickly, here we go. Kidder Inc. says, without the drive plus work, manifesting is pointless. You have to eat, sleep, breathe tattooing. It's a lifestyle, in my opinion. It is. You've hit the nail on the head there. Julian Leaker says, how do you edit your photos for Instagram? Yeah, so I'm going to be talking about that in the next topic. What should we do? Arvin says, what should we do if we're one step behind in tattoo industry with our competitors? For example, I'm not in good drawing and designing. Well, you need to work at that, dude. You already know where you're going wrong. You need to work at that. You need to get inspiration from people that you look up to, and get some of that inspiration down in your own style on canvas, whether that be in your designing, whether that be on fake skin. Like I said, people don't want it enough. People will just be happy to plod along in life. They don't want it enough. They want to just be, yeah, okay, so let me put it this way. There's me, right? I'm your competition. When I first started tattooing 10 years ago, there was a guy also in the next village that started tattooing maybe about 6 months before me. Now, he had an ego the size of fucking Pluto, bruv. And in reality, that is a big planet to us. But okay, that's a bad example. He's got the ego of Jupiter, right? Massive fucking planet, and he wasn't that good. And when I look back at it, I wasn't that good either, because obviously I just started tattooing. But when I look back at it, I was so desperate to get an apprenticeship. So because that was what I was taught, you know, the only road to go down. So I was taught to go out and find an apprenticeship, blah, blah. So I'd look for an apprenticeship for probably a good year. And I took all my, you know, drawings. I took all my biro drawings and stuff like that to various different studios, and I just got turned away. Like I must have gone to about 25 different studios trying to find an apprenticeship, and I just got turned away like that. It was quite embarrassing, to be honest. And then this guy I kind of knew in the next village sets up a studio, and I think he was a personal trainer before, but he wasn't a creative guy. And this is what I'm saying, he was just doing it for the money. And that's where I've got an issue with people that come into this industry for the money. Now, if you work at your craft and you get very good, that you can start charging decent amounts of money, I've got a lot of respect for that. But where people are charging stupid amounts of money, especially in America, I've seen a couple of people that are extremely average charging crazy prices. And I'm thinking, how the hell are they doing that? And they turn around and say, oh, I've manifested it into reality, blah, blah, blah. And maybe they have. Or it's just the naivety of some people that don't actually research good tattoos and not average ones. And that's where you have to kind of think, right, do I want to be in this for money, or do I want to be in this for being well known as a good tattooist, you know, well known for my art? Because those people that are in it for money they're not well known for their art. They're trying to be different. They're trying to be, you know, spiritual. They're trying to be this superficial person that thinks, you know, they've got it in life, and they, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not pointing any fingers here, but I think it's a very touchy, controversial subject to talk about. But I've got, you know, what I've just said for the last 17 minutes, I think it's very valid. And I think in my opinion, I wouldn't want to be, you know, known for charging stupid amounts of money, way over what I should be charging. I mean, if people are paying that, then more for them. And if they're happy with their tattoos, more for them, you know. Let's have a look at this live chat quick. Pluto, bruv, yeah, it wasn't a very good. Yeah, this live's going to be saved. Kidderink says, who the fuck cares about all that bullshit? Poses stick out like a sore thumb. The work speaks for itself. Exactly that. And I think the last thing I'm going to say about manifesting is just don't worry about the money. The money will come. There's another topic I'm going to talk about on this podcast, and that is how much money is in tattooing, and that's a lot of money in tattooing. And I think don't worry about the money. Worry about getting as good as you possibly can. You'll get to a point in your life or in your journey where you'll improve massively over like a short, maybe like 4 or 5 years. You'll improve massively. And what I've found, even in my own work, is that you'll then start to improve or kind of plateau, and then you'll start to improve very, very, very small amounts, whether that be the crispness of the lines, the smoothness of the shading, you know, your design work and how to make tattoos flow on the body better and stuff like that. And that's going to go up very, very, very small increments. That's what I would focus on. And your work speaks for itself, so that means the money will come. The more, you know, you stand out in a crowd of 1,000 artists, if you're in the top 2% of those people you can charge the most. And I think it's just being humble, man. I think being humble in this industry is I mean, Ralph Nornweiler says this a lot. Just be humble. People are so over egotistical. It's a joke. And I think it needs calling out. Manifesting is not real without hard work and a dedicated routine. And that's what I'm going to say about it. All right. So editing fresh tattoos for social media, getting onto this. So I've seen a lot of people. So there's so many. I've seen a lot of tattoos where people will be, well, actually, let me say this. I've seen a lot of big names in the industry. I've seen their healed work and it's healed like shit. Really, really bad. And I'm thinking that's so bad. And they're charging a lot of money for these tattoos because they've got hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram. And I tattooed a hand about 4 or 5 years ago now. I tattooed a hand and this other artist tattooed the other hand, and I looked at the other hand and they were charging like triple what I was charging, and I was like, that is healed horrifically. Like most of the ink had fallen out. It was super light. You know, their tonal choices within their work was all over the place. It just didn't stand the test of time at all. And it just blew my mind, to be honest, because how they were taking pictures of their work was, you know, it looked unbelievable when first done, well, in the picture. So I was thinking, okay, how have they done that? Now I was at a guest spot in Weston-super-Mare with my friend Pat Shanty, shout out to you. And he was saying, oh, have you seen this page? And I can't remember what the page name was, but it kind of outed all the artists for photoshopping or kind of enhancing their fresh tattoo pictures. And then it would have the healed picture next to the fresh tattoo pit, and it was completely different. Now, I've seen artists. Well, I haven't seen it. I know artists that have put their design underneath and blended their design in with their tattooed picture and made it look like it was more like the reference than it actually was in real life. That's one thing I have seen. And I think, you know, light and effects and stuff like that. I think light and effects is a touchy subject as well, because you can get the LED light with the CP filter and stuff like that and make the make it look more contrasted than what it is, make it have more depth than what it has. And I think I don't personally agree with that, but it gets likes and views on social media. So you're in that catch-22 situation where, do I go down this route? Do I get a CPL filter and a LED light and like a darkish background and make it pop for social media? Because I've done that before. I've bought the Bishop. What's it called? The Bishop Luminous, I think, pack with the LED lights and the CPL filters and stuff like that. I bought that years ago. I don't even know where it is, to be honest. I've lost it. And for me, I talk about this in my course as well. It is quite a good way to showcase your tattoos, but it just doesn't look like that in real life. And I think that's where the issue stands for me. I think taking a picture of your tattoo, I literally take it on my iPhone. I will reduce the redness a tiny bit, and that's literally it. That is all I do. I'll try and get a good angle for the tattoo so it's not warped, because obviously it's on an arm or wherever it is on the body, and I'll try and get a nice picture where the tattoo isn't warped by the contours of the body, and just reduce the redness a bit. That's literally all I do. I don't try and smooth it out more. I don't try and add whites to it in Photoshop. I don't put my design underneath and blend it into my picture of my tattoo I've just taken. I think that's false advertising. I think that needs to be called out. And I think it's a good thing that people decide to put these Instagram accounts out, exposing people for, you know, misguiding people to how their tattoos really look, for, you know, more clientele, more likes and more views, because your name will quickly go down in this industry for being someone that is just, you know, a scammer, I suppose. And it's a techie one, man. It is a techie one. I think as long as it's in keeping with the reality of the work, I'd say, like, you know, like I said, adjusting the color settings and stuff. I think that's fair, especially for the customer, because especially what I post, you can see on the screen here that with the ship, I've literally taken that with my iPhone. You can still see some redness in it. I've desaturated it a tiny bit. And that's literally it. That's all I do. I think keeping it as real to what it looks like in real life is the way forward. I'm just going to grab some of your comments here. Illuminati pack. That's exactly what it is. Bishop Illuminati pack. So Kiddering also said, crazy to me that most tattoo artists nowadays don't even know the basic fundamentals about art, like even as simple as proportion, shade, values and shit. Yeah. Do you know what? I have a couple of friends that I've taught or given advice to in this industry, and I can still see they just don't, like, for me, I think this is going back to, you know, some advice, I suppose, with tattooing, but I think for me, you have to know what looks good and what doesn't look good. Otherwise, it just, if you can't look at something and think that rose is a bit too big for that face underneath the face. It's like I tattooed a Chicano woman with a rose on the wrist today. Now, a lot of people that I've seen on social media will post that and go through with that tattoo, but have the rose too small, or they'll do it too big in conjunction to the woman's face. And what I try and say is, if you're tattooing like a lotus flower and a tiger, for instance, yeah, a tiger's face and a lotus flower underneath, I say, well, you can't have the lotus flower bigger than the tiger, because that's not what it is in real life. You kind of have to get the proportions right, especially with hands in front of faces. Like, if you start doing, you know, if you start designing women with hands in front of their face holding a card or something, so many tattoos that I see, the hands are massive, the hands are huge, they're literally the size of the face, and I'm like a hand isn't really the size of a face. If you're a male, fair enough, but normally, like, the hand like this is bigger than the head, and it's just not in proportion. It just looks stupid. But if you can't see that, then you really need to up your ability to see those things. Otherwise, it's going to be a long old road for you. But yeah, you're right. You are fully right. Daniel Harris says, I need to get better at taking flicks, but I agree, no editing, perhaps a little taking down redness yet. But there are also many fakes and Photoshop wizards who can't tattoo, getting tons of followers. Yeah, and Daniel, that's exactly what I said earlier. I said that. I think it's a shame. I think it needs calling out more. And unfortunately, that's just the whole thing about social media. It's such a fake space to be in. I hate social media. I literally jump on social media when I need to jump on, and then the rest of my time I'm just not on there, just for my sanity. I think it's such a fake space to be in. I don't enjoy it. I like, you know, I can go and hang out with someone for a weekend I won't even look, my phone will die. I won't even look at my phone for days. If I know, that I need to be free. Like, I like giving someone my full attention. If I'm in the room, I'm never really in my phone. If I'm involved in conversation and hanging out with friends or whatever, I'm never really on my phone. It's very, very, very rare you'll see me on my phone. And I think more people need to follow that, especially for the mental health as well. It's a massive thing. Daniel Harris also says your visual inventory is your best friend in relation to the proportion thing. Exactly that. I think if you look at real life things and double guess and triple guess yourself, check yourself, sorry. I think that's the best thing. I think maybe if you're still unsure, then maybe send it to an artist that knows what they're talking about. Send it to them or if you're working in the studio, call another artist over and say, do you think this looks right? If you're not 100% sure, because it's going on someone's skin for life. Like, you have to be 100% sure. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Never, never, never be afraid to ask for help. It's definitely, because we're all on the same journey. We're all on the same road in pursuit of tattooing, perfection. So never be afraid to ask for help. But yeah, social media, editing pictures, I think from what I gather, there's so many people that do edit their pictures and manipulate their tattoos in a massive way. And I think as long as you keep it true to form, true to what it looks like in real life, I think less lighting effects. I think definitely no Photoshop. And I think you will, if you have a good camera, DSLR camera, nice lighting, nice natural lighting, or you can use your iPhone or your phone. I'd probably not use a Samsung because their cameras are not that great. I don't think. I think they're, in my experience, I think iPhone cameras are the best for capturing tattoos. Although I'm not really a fan of the 15 Pro Max camera inside for capturing tattoos. DSLR cameras with a good lens is the best with a low f-stop. So say like a 1.4 or 1.8 f-stop on a camera lens is probably the best route to go down, so you can get that buttery smooth background, the bokeh, and as long as you've got no glare on the tattoo, I think you're onto a winner. And if you've tattooed it right, then you've tattooed it right. You've tattooed, you're not pulling bells and whistles over your tattoos. And when someone sees it healed in real life, providing you've tattooed it right, then they're going to be impressed. And the more people you tattoo, the more people that are going to be impressed, and the better your name will be through word of mouth and people, traveling around to get tattooed by other artists. They'll see your work. I've tattooed so many people that have gone to another artist, and every tattoo I do, I try and do to the best of my ability. And I think that's the way to go, because other artists will see your work 100%. So we are on to the third topic. So that's going under anesthesia for a tattoo. Now I want to get your comments on this, because I've never done it, obviously. Well, not obviously, but I've never done it. This seems to be more of an American thing. You don't really see it here in the UK. Cornhub. Daniel Harris, he's on the Cornhub. Hold on, RD7 says, did you try the shading technique Sam Tattoos 7 shared in the Incredible podcast, mixing grey wash with grey colours? I've been doing it for a while and it really helps to smooth out your tones. So yeah, so I'm gonna get onto that. We're probably in the next topic, Fineline tattoos and stuff like that, and tested time. But going under anesthesia for a tattoo, I think it's scary, dude. I think it's a very scary ordeal to go through. I think anesthesia is quite a risky thing anyway, especially going for surgeries and stuff like that. Like going under, there's always risks that you're never going to wake up. So for me, and a lot of celebrities and people will be doing this because they can afford it. It's a very expensive thing to do. I think that Ganga Tattoo does it in LA. I think it's No Pain by Ganga. He charges $250,000 to do that, to go under and do like a full back piece or whatever by 6 or 7 artists. Now there's going to have to be more than one artist on tattooing you to get it done in a time where, because I'm pretty sure with anaesthesia, the longer you're under, the longer the bigger the risk. So there's going to have to be multiple people tattooing you. Now, when you wake up and your whole back is tattooed, that must be a killer, man. That must be a killer. Kidder Inc. says Post Malone done it, didn't he? Yeah, he did. I think Ganga did that as well, didn't he? I'm not too sure. Ali T says we wait to see you at America and meet David Vega and Bishop Factory and meeting with Franco. That would be awesome experience. Oh yeah, dude. So I'm planning, just to go off topics, I'm planning on coming to America in March. So in a few months' time. I've spoken with David, and he's happy with me to come over and guest in Austin, Texas. So that's probably the first place I'll go. So yeah, I'm super gassed for that. So I'm going to be taking bookings in March, for March, end of March, April, May, June, which would be really cool. So yeah, so if you do want to get booked in with me, please head over to my Instagram and give me a DM or whatever. Yeah, I'm going to be charging a very reasonable amount. I'm not going to be charging, it's going to be more than the UK, because the UK tattoo industry is just diabolical. It's not great to be a tattoo artist over in the UK. US is definitely the place to be, for sure. But yeah, I think to wrap the going under anesthesia for a tattoo, I think it's one of those things where it's if you can afford to do it, fair play. I think if you're a healthy individual, I think it's a good idea. Maybe I think if you're not healthy and you're not looking after your body as much, I don't think it's a very good idea to do it, because there are risks involved. I don't like going under anesthesia. I think coming back round is a difficult one as well, because you've got like nausea, you've got vomiting and stuff like that. I think it's coming back round is a hard thing, especially with your whole back or your whole front being tattooed. The pain will be intense. And there might be a bit of a rush aspect to the art as well, because you're trying to get it done in a reasonable time. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not really clued up on it, but I wanted to get your thoughts. So smash a comment in the comment section to let me know what your thoughts are on that, because I think it's quite a risky thing to do. It's cool. It's definitely different, but when I look at it, I'm like, oof, that's, you're all hooked up to a breathing apparatus, and you got IVs in your arm, and you're out for the count. It's just, and there's people, it's quite a morbid way of tattooing. I'm not really for it, but I'm not really against it. I'll kind of sit on the fence with that. Now, this is going to be a topic where people are going to get annoyed because fine line tattoos, will they stand the test of time? In my experience, I think single needle tattoos, if you're a tattooist that tattoos with single needle needles, cartridges, or if you're using the needle bars in an older machine, say like a coil or something, I think you have to be a very, very good tattooist. I think you have to be extremely experienced to be able to pull off a single needle tattoo that will stand the test of time, because smaller needles don't tend to put ink as deep in the skin as, say, I don't know, like a 3-round liner. Now, I've touched up a lot of tattoos that have been done by, I can't say the name because I don't want to cause beef on the internet, but there's I wouldn't say, I'd say like a well-known fine line tattooist here in the UK, and I've touched up 2 of his tattoos already. And they said they literally took me 10 minutes with the 3-round liner, which is what the line was. And he did it with a single needle and it turned out very light. Another thing that I don't agree with fine line tattooists doing is tattooing with grey wash. I think it's the most stupidest idea you can do because it's not going to last in the skin at all. And if someone's paying £210 for a small tattoo, I think not tattooing in solid black is the worst thing you can fucking do. So for single needle, I think you can pull off a clean tattoo, but over time, like, you know, thin lines aren't going to stand the test of time. It's just not going to happen. I actually read something the other day, and let me just quickly get it up because it was quite good, and it's exactly what I think. Let's have a look. Fine line tattoos fade more quickly than regular tattoos. Obviously it, you know, relies on the location of the tattoo, etc., and how you look after your skin, and how you know, and the quality of the tattooist's work. But it's not going to age well. You know, within a year, you're going to see that fade extremely quickly. It's not going to age well at all. I think that's one thing customers don't really understand when you're getting a fine line tattoo, unless you're doing it with black and a 3-round liner, a tight 3-round liner. It doesn't even have to be a 0.35, so you can get it a bit thinner. You need multiple needles in the skin in a formation like a 3-round liner, a tight 3-round liner. That's where you're gonna see longevity, or more longevity than a single needle. Single needle tattoos just it's a very touchy subject for me because I've got a lot of knowledge in this industry about, you know, the science and stuff like that behind tattooing, and I think it's when I see people tattoo, especially stop tattooing with grey wash. Just stop tattooing fine line tattoos with grey wash. It's just not going to last. It's not going to last. Like, black is going to last way longer than, say, a medium grey wash cut that you've tattooed with. Like, it's just, it blows my mind to think that's a good idea for someone to do. And it's because customers will come in and they'll say, I don't want it in your face. I want it, you know, I don't want it to be in my face. I want it to be, you know, subtle. I want it to be light. I want it to be light. Tattoos heal lighter anyway. It's not going to, like, just use a basic dynamic black. Just fill up the cut with a basic dynamic black. It's going to get lighter over time anyway, because that's what tattoos do, because they go deeper into the skin over time. And when you tattoo with a grey wash, it's going to get even more lighter over time. And it's just like, in 5 years time, you won't even see that tattoo, mate. Like, it's gone. Especially if you're tattooing with a single needle, that shit is gone. So please show me any single needle tattoos or fine line tattoos that have been tattooed in grey wash in 5 years time, because I guarantee you will not see that shit. You just won't. Where's this thing that I saw? Like, micro realism as well. That fucking blows my mind as well. Like, you cannot expect a micro realism tattoo to stand the test of time when you are trying to get all those details in with a smaller needle. The smaller the needle, the more chance it's going to have of fading. That's why you see traditional tattoos lasting for years. That's why you see people that have been tattooed 25, 30, 40 years ago. And I know tattooing's changed since then, but even then, you know, you look at all the old people that used to have like I've got one here, the swallows on the hands and stuff like that, you know, proper Sailor Jerry style tattoos. You can still see them because they're done in a thicker needle. They're done in a way where it's going to stand the test of time, and they knew that back then, way back then. And I think for the sake of social media, for the sake of trends, tattoo trends, it's so annoying to me to see artists, fine line artists, if you can even call them that, fine line artists tattooing with a single needle with grey wash. It is mental to me, mate. It's absolutely mental. So here we go. Thin lines, shading, small words and small tattoos all fade much more quickly. Some like the effects age has on their tattoo. However, the tattoo will likely blur together if it's got too much detail, sorry. Bolder lines, thicker lines and larger designs will better stand the test of time. And I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. And that's what tattooing is. I think for me, tattooing big pieces that I do on a daily, I still do like, you know, script and stuff like that and small tattoos, but I use a 3-round liner because I know using a 3-round liner will give it more time in the skin before it starts fading. And that is just what it is. That is how you need to look at your tattooing. Let me get into your comments. So let's have a look. Yeah, Daniel Harris says no, they almost always fade and fast from what I've seen. Very few can pull it off well. That's what I'm saying. There are artists that can pull it off well, but you have to be so on the ball. You have to have the depth right. Every single time that needle hits that skin, you have to have the right depth. And you almost have to go deeper than what you think you should, just so you know that ink's going in deep. Because a lot of fine line tattoos, they're not in the skin as deep as, say, a bigger tattoo is. And you really need to pack that shit in, man. There's also a huge chance to blow out as much as there is to not sink it deep enough. Exactly that. And I think that's where you have to be a very, like I was saying earlier, you have to be a very good artist in technical ability to really pull that off. Kidderink says even on the best skin with the best artist tattooing in solid black, it's going to fade a lot no matter what. Exactly. One drop fine line shading. You taught me the importance of differentiating between triple and regular. Still only use dynamic for blacks. The regular is fantastic and triple is for the darkness. Yeah, you have to get contrast in your work. Coming away from fine line tattoos, you know, that's a subject where you have to have you definitely have to have contrast in your work, and that's going to stand the test of time as well. And that's what I try and look. I try and use a lot of negative skin tone in my work. You can see in the ship here, in the clouds and in the waves and around the compass at the bottom, you can see I've kept a lot of negative skin tone in there. Purely because I know in 5 to 10 years time that's still going to look like that. And for the small details, you know, like the lines in the what they call, they're not the flags, the masts and stuff like that, they're all used a 3-round liner. I think that was a tight one as well. I think there's two towards the ship area, they're a tiny bit more thinner. I think that was a tight 3, the 0.30. It might have even been a 0.25. And then the ones on the, you know, up towards the top, you can't really see that. But they're just a standard 3-round liner. So yeah, so I think fine line tattooists need to up their game, I think, because I keep touching things over, and it's not annoying. It's not annoying, but it's annoying being an artist, seeing what other artists are doing and not picking that up. And I think customers need to be more aware of that. And I think that's why I wanted to talk about it, because customers will need to be more aware of fine line tattooists and tattooing with a single needle, and especially with the grey wash. It just does not make sense. Tattooing with a grey wash does not make sense, because it is not going to last. Categorically can tell you that now, it is not going to last. And I think it might piss a lot of people off, but I've been in this game for a fucking long time, and I'm very clued up on the science behind it all. And depending on, you know, each person's body, someone's body might start breaking down that ink quicker than someone else's body. But tattooing lines in grey wash is the worst thing you can do if you want to have longevity of your tattoo. If you want it to fade, by all means do that, son. By all means do that. If you want the tattoo to fade, by all means do it. But tattooing with black, standard black, with a tight 3-round liner, will stand a much better chance of staying in the skin for longer than a single needle with a fucking grey wash. It just blows my mind. Anyway, best countries to travel for tattooing. Let's get onto that subject. We're halfway through the podcast now. So for me, I think tattooing in the US is a dream of mine. I've wanted to do it forever. I've just come back from a tour in Europe, and I went to France, I went to Switzerland, I went to Italy, I went to the south of France, and then I went into Spain, and then back towards the UK. Sorry. I think tattooing in Europe, do you know what? I think tattooing anywhere, you have to have a fan base. I think you have to have a fan base. I think you have to build up a social media where you can have the privilege of tattooing in different countries. Now, tattooing I tattooed in Milan in Italy, right? A couple of months ago. And you can kind of charge a bit more than the UK. The UK is very bad for tattooing. If you want to be in this game for money, which I don't suggest you do, but if you do want to do that, I would say do not start tattooing in the UK. Just move to America and start tattooing there, because America is definitely the place for the money. I think you can charge. I think America's top of the list for charging ridiculous amounts of money for tattoos. I'm gonna go into how much money is in tattooing. I'm gonna do these two subjects together because it kind of ties in. So I think America is definitely the place to be for tattooing. And I think, sorry, I'm just reading the chat here. PDAPS says, Oliver, hello from Cali. There you go. I've been watching a ton of your videos of yours lately, mostly because of your work, but also because of your vibe. Question. Yeah, go on, bro. Thank you for the support, by the way, guys. Thank you. Please smash that like button as well, guys. Please comment after the video. This video is going to go up and be saved, so please comment down below on any of the topics that I've spoken about today, and let me know your thoughts. Let's have a debate in the chat. So Daniel Harris says artists here in Vancouver are between $150 to $300 an hour. Yeah, so that's pretty good money, dude. That's pretty good money. I'm £125 an hour here, and that is considered steep here. I've now dropped my day rate to £450, which is extremely cheap for the standard of work I put out, and it's very hard to undervalue my work. But with the current crisis in the UK, with people spending more money on bills and mortgages tripling, mortgages doubling for some people, there's you know, it's very, very, very hard for people to then, you know, justify to pay out for a luxury like a tattoo, especially if it's like a big sleeve project or whatever, or you want to get a leg project or a chest piece or whatever. It's very hard for people to justify that. And for me, I'm not in it for the money. You know, £450 a session is still good money here in the UK, but it's not what I should be charging. But I can put my ego aside and just pull my day rate down. I've got no issue with that. I've done that for the whole of my career. You know, you have to be clever with studying the market. You have to be clever with, you know, dropping the ego when you need to pay bills for yourself. You know, I'd rather work every single day, 5 days a week, tattooing at $450 than work 2-3 days a week tattooing at $650, $600 a day, because it just makes sense. You know, why earn $4.5 grand a month where you can drop your price to get more people in and earn $9 grand a month? You know what I mean? Tattooing is a luxury, like Daniel Harris says in the chat, and I think it's just one of those things. It's one of those things. It's a luxury, and people do want tattoos, but they want to. I mean, it's a sticky one, isn't it? It's a sticky situation. It's one of those where it's like, well, do you undervalue your work and just get clients in, but then you know you're going to get the type of clients that wants more for nothing and stuff like that, even though you know, since I've dropped my price, I've noticed, well, before, not necessarily this time, but a couple of years ago when I was cheaper, but my work wasn't at the standard it is now, I definitely noticed there was, you know, more of a clientele that I didn't really want to socialize with. And it's not really the type of tattoos I want to tattoo. Do you know what I mean? A lot of that will be design element and stuff like that, and how well you can pull off that design element and get accustomed to a style and be known for a style with your work. So RD7 says, I'm in Italy, going backwards to when I said I tattooed in Milan. I'm in Italy, and I can tell you that apart from Milan, the rates here are pretty much like in the UK. Yeah, well, yeah, it's, I mean, in London, you know, artists can charge, like in central London, artists can charge £1,000 a day, which is a lot of money. But then if you're guesting in a place like that, if you're guesting in a studio in London, they're going to take £200-300 off of that easily for rent, for like just being able to tattoo in London. So if you're charging $900 a day, you know, you're automatically going to give £300 of that away, or £200 of that away. And when I tattooed in Milan, actually, big shout out to, I can't even pronounce the studio, but it's a really cool studio, really cool people in there. They charged me, I think I charged a really cheap thing, because I was struggling for clients out in Europe. Like, I was just struggling because I was moving around so quick. I was moving around. I should have stayed in places for longer and, you know, longed it out a bit more. But then there's, you know, I didn't take that much money with me. I was hoping to get more clientele on the road. And I struggled for clientele last minute. So when I got into Milan, well, I was in Switzerland, in Zurich, and I put out on my story that I'm going to be in Milan in a couple of days, and someone, I had a few people message me from Milan and wanted to get tattooed. So big shout out to you, bro, that came and got tattooed, of his father, RIP. Really cool guy. He's a tattooist now as well, which is really cool. I think he was a follower of mine. So big shout out to you for coming to get tattooed by me. And I think I'd like to see that healed tattoo, to be fair, bro. If you are watching this, please drop me a DM in my Instagram, because I'd like to see how it's healed, with no filters on. But yeah, I think if you're traveling around for tattooing, I think I think America's probably the best place to go. I'm not too sure. Please let me know if you're in America in this chat. Please let me know where the best the highest rates are going. Like I'm presuming California is probably the highest rate you can charge for tattooing. I'm presuming Texas is pretty high as well. New York's pretty high, I'm guessing, and I'm guessing like the smaller states in between, Central America, I suppose, are more, unless you've got a big name to yourself, they're more chill prices. Daniel Harris says, we come third, often fifth on the list when you've got to read. Yeah, I was at the Vancouver convention last May and I heard a woman say her day rate was 2,800 for 7.5 hours. Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. I still think there's good money in Canada for tattooing. I really do. I think it's quite a cool place to go. I'm definitely going to come back. Yeah, I think it's definitely a place. Well, I'm definitely coming to America in March, so keep an eye out for that. If you do want to get tattooed by me, then please DM me, because I haven't actually officially opened my American client book yet, but I will be, and I'm going to be charging a very reasonable price as well for the standard of work I put out. So yes, I think traveling for tattooing in Europe, I think you have to really, really, really plan it out. But Switzerland, when I was in Switzerland, I was speaking to a guy, a Croatian, I think he was a Croatian guy who owns a studio, and he said the industry there in Switzerland is very, very, very hard to get clients, because not a lot of people, it's a very luxurious place. A lot of people are in business there, and it's very hard to get clients in Switzerland. That's one of the things I definitely found out. And I was in Zurich as well, which is the capital, isn't it? So I found it very hard to get clients. I know a couple of people from Switzerland as well, and just nothing was coming about, nothing was coming forward. So yeah, we moved on pretty quickly, because it's a very expensive place to be in, and we moved pretty quickly to Milan, and that's where I got my clients from, really. And then yeah, we was just moving around. We went across went down the French Riviera, through Cannes and through Monaco and places like that, Montpellier, very quickly. We did that in 2-3 days, I think. So we just didn't spend enough time trying to look for tattooing, really, to look for clients. I think you have to start promoting yourself. And I think when we come to social media algorithms at the end of this video, I think we're going to get onto that topic of how to get more clients, and are they trying to push you to spend money on ads to push your content. But yeah, I think the hardest thing about tattooing is, to get into the next subject, the hardest thing about tattooing for me, I think the hardest thing about tattoo, that's a really good question. I haven't really thought about it when I wrote that topic down. The hardest thing about tattooing is, I think it's doing the fundamentals right. Actually, do you know what? I think the hardest thing about tattooing is trying to get your vision across to the client. Excuse me. I think trying to get your vision across to the client is a task in itself, because especially for me, how I work, I have so the way I work is, a client will come and message me. They'll come forward and say, this is what I'm thinking about doing. I ask for a brief description of what they want, and they send me a brief description on what they want, and then sorry, let me just do this real quick. They send me a brief description of what they want, and then they send me some reference pictures as well. What? Why isn't that working? They send me I don't know what's going on. They send me a brief description of what they want and some reference pictures and stuff like that. And already in my head, I know how I want it to look. I can already see the tattoo in my head before I've even designed it, right? Based off of tattoos that I've seen before and I've liked from other artists and stuff like that. I think I think that's the hardest thing about tattooing for me. I think, you know, trying to get your vision across to the client is one of the hardest things. And I think also, and I know this is hard because I've had quite difficult clients before, and they've always said, when I've done the design and I've stenciled it out, they've always said, oh, it's better than what I thought I had in my head. It's like, you've got something in your head, but I'm the artist kind of thing. So it's not trying to be like arrogant and try and be pushy with how you work, but it's also being comfortable with pushing your design onto them without sounding like an arsehole, you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm just going to go through this chat because we've got some more people coming in here. RD7 says, I know for sure a place in Europe where not to go for tattooing. For what I can see in Facebook groups, Denmark is filled with tattoo studios that are not owned by tattooists and scam people who guest there. Well, I've tattooed in Iron and Ink in Denmark. My good friend Havaro, shout out to you if you ever watch this. He's not a tattooist himself, but he's a very, very he's a very good businessman who's very, very, very fair with artists. He doesn't push for money. He doesn't push for a massive cut from the artist, because without artists he wouldn't exist. So his studio chain wouldn't exist. And I think for sure it's always going to be a touchy subject. I think I've worked for someone here as well who didn't tattoo, and he wanted all the artists to sign contracts, and I was like, fuck that. If you want me to sign a contract, I'm out of it. Like, I'm gone. So yeah, I ended up leaving. But Denmark, I thought was quite a nice. I tattooed in not Copenhagen. Was it Copenhagen? What's the capital of Denmark? It is Copenhagen, isn't it? Yeah, Copenhagen. Copenhagen, and I've tattooed in Vejle as well. Vejle. And it was quite easy to get clients there as well. Some geezers doing donuts, bruv, outside my window. That's mental. Death to Leo says, do you do courses? Yes, I do. oliverayre.co.uk. You can see the full tattoo course. I've actually knocked some money off of that. It's taken me 2 years to do that course, probably 3 years to do that course in the entirety. So if you want to check it out, link in the description as well, I think. Watch out for tax, man. Sniper on the cliff. Yeah, exactly that, Kidderink. My tax bills have been fucking extortionate over the last few years. I'm actually still paying them off. Maybe that's too much information. So let's just have a little look. Kidderink says, the hardest part of tattooing to me at the beginning was the intense personal human interaction. Do you know what? That was one of mine as well. I'm glad you brought that up. The hardest part of tattooing for me in the beginning was the intense personal human interaction drained the life out of me, but now I'm a robot. It's all good. Throw the arm around like a foam noodle. Yeah, foam noodle. Yeah, exactly that. And I think for me, I wasn't a very sociable person. I am now, because I think I've got tattooing to thank for that. It's really brought me out of my shell. But when I first started tattooing, I was like 23, 24. I'm now 31. So no, it's way before that. It's been 9 years. 2014. It was 2014, and I'm 31. I need to do quick maths here, bruv. 2024. Yeah, 10 years, man. 10 years. So I was 21. I couldn't have been. I was 21. I was 22 when I first... That's meant... I always thought I was 24. Yeah, well, I must have been 21. That's crazy. It was 2014 when I first started tattooing. Anyway, I was quite a shy guy. I was like 21, 22, right? And I wasn't shy, but I was just reserved. I didn't like a lot of people, and I just liked to keep myself to myself. I've always been like that anyway. I don't trust a lot of people. So for people coming up and getting tattooed and sitting with me, and I was like, what the fuck do I say to them? I don't even know them. And it's like you kind of get that small talk kind of in your head. You get that like robotic small talk, same questions to every client kind of thing, and then you can dive deeper into more personal things and stuff like that. And it's literally like a counselling session when you have someone that you click with. You know, you start to open up about your relationships, and you start to open up about, you know, past and stuff like that, and troubles in life. And it's like you're tattooing this person, and it's like a fucking full-on counselling session. It's hilarious, and I love that about my job. I think it's one of those things that I love learning from different people's lives now, and I think it's definitely one of the best things in tattooing for me is learning from different people's lives and helping people out. Even, you know, I've tattooed people that have been very down and very depressed, and I've changed their life with some of the advice I've given them, and they've changed my life with some of the advice they've given me. So I think that's one of the best things that I can take away from this job. What are your thoughts on learning tattooing online, like programs or courses, versus traditional apprenticeships? I think so that was from PDA APS. I think traditional apprenticeships, unless you're in a very, very reputable studio, I think it's just dead. I think apprenticeships now are dead. And I think I was one of the pioneers, to be honest, especially for the YouTube world, in teaching people online how to tattoo and giving golden secrets away. And I got a lot of shit when I first started this channel. I got a lot of threats. I had a lot of people telling me that I'm this, that, and the other, and I'm ruining the industry and blah, 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 blah. And I think I've done the opposite of what they were saying. I think I made this industry grow. I think I've grown this industry in a way where people can learn good information and not share. And I think I make it quite simple for people to learn as well. I think that's one of the hardest things coming into the industry. Hardest thing about tattooing, another thing for me, is there was nowadays, well, when I first started tattooing, there was no information. I literally had to go to a convention. I used to travel to London Convention, where all the best tattooists in the world came. And I used to bring, actually, do you know what? I've got the bloody camera in here. I found it the other day. Where is it? I used to bring this camera. I wonder if it's still got the tapes in there. That'd be good. I used to bring this camera right here, bruv. Look at that. Dusty. Wow, this is a bit of memorabilia for you all. I used to bring this Canon G7X camera to the conventions and sit there like this with a fold-out chair, zoom all the way in, and just record people tattooing. And they couldn't say anything because they're tattooing in public. And I used to just go, I wonder if I've got any... Oh, there's no card in there. There'll be some footage somewhere on a card that I need to find of like Matthew James tattooing, Jack Connolly tattooing, Steve Butcher tattooing, all the big Nico Hurtado tattooing, like all the big names tattooing. And I used to go home and just watch the footage. I used to bring like 3 or 4 batteries with me, because these cameras do not last very long. They're literally about half an hour. Well, I think you can get from a full charge maybe 40 minutes. So I used to bring like enough for like 3 hours worth of content. And what's going on, Paul Jeffries? Thank you for tuning in. I used to sit there and sit back at home and just watch the content back on the big screen, and just learn from the hand movements and stuff like that. I think that's one of the hardest things about tattooing back then, was lack of information. But there's too much information now, and maybe I've paved the way for that in the industry, but I think there's too much information. It's finding what's good information and what isn't. And I think the best thing you can do is look at someone's work. If you like someone's work and you know they're going to teach you real shit and not just throw time lapses at you, then get that person's course or information about how they tattoo. I think that's the best thing you can do. That's my advice for beginners. If you want to learn from very good people, I think apprenticeship, unless you can get a very good studio and you like that person's work, and it's not just average, it's just because you're in a studio to work in. You can work from home, dude. Like, there's no law to say you can't. You can work from home. You can, like, I did that. I worked from home. I got my space that I was working from licensed. As long as you get it licensed, actually, you can actually tattoo from home. As long as you're not earning money from it and you're not trading, then you can tattoo from home. Now, I would suggest going into a course with hygiene, blood pathogens and stuff like that, and learn about cross-contamination and stuff like that first before you were to do that, because you can infect someone very easily. You know, using disposable needles, disposable grips, disposing of those disposable needles correctly, and waste management and all that, right? As long as you go on like a hygiene course, you can pretty much tattoo at home, as long as you're not trading. That's for the UK. I think America's very lenient towards where you tattoo, to be honest. You can tattoo from hotel rooms and not get in shit for it. But yeah, there's so many, going off topic a bit, I think there's so many hard things about tattooing, but I think finding good information, because there's so much information out there, sieving through the shit to find the you know, the diamond in the haystack, isn't it? Diamond in the rough. That's what's hard now. But if you stumbled across this video or my channel, then you've just found that diamond, bruv. Because I've learned from very, very good artists in the years I've been tattooing. And I always say, everything I get that's worth mentioning to you guys, I will mention that on this channel. No doubt about it. Daniel Harris says, hardest part for me is self-criticism and imposter syndrome. Yeah, when you just when you think you have it beat, it rears its head again to let you know you got to stay humble and have humility. 100%, 100%. PDAPS says, I would agree. Even just when you're tattooing, you are giving tips and explaining what you're doing. Not sure even you'll know you're doing it. No, I don't. But it helps someone like me while I watch, study. Yeah. Do you know what? I'm going to go live tomorrow on this channel. So expect a live tattooing session tomorrow. Right. So let's move on to mental health. So my mental health's taking a battering at the minute. I felt physical symptoms. I don't want to, you know, ask for sympathy and shit like that, because it's something I have to work on myself. I think mental health is a massive thing that people don't talk about, and I think people should talk about it more, and that's why I wanted to bring it in. And that ties in quite nicely to what Daniel just said there, was self-criticism. I think being a creative person is definitely one of those traits that you self-criticize a lot more than the average person would. And I think that can take, I think your mental health can take a battering with criticizing yourself all the time. And I think you have to be a very strong person to criticize yourself all the time and be normal about it. I'm pretty good at, you know, if there was a tattoo that I didn't really like or didn't come out as well as I've thought it was, I wanted it to come out like, then I know there's always another day. I can go over it. And I think I don't try and let it beat me up too much. I've adopted a mindset where I can comfortably do things. I think confidence in tattooing as well is a massive thing. I think you have to be confident in everything you do. Every choice you make on the skin, you have to be confident with it. I think it's one of those things where I think confidence is massive in this industry. And I believe, being self-critical, going back to the mental health, I think my mental health's taken a battering recently. I've had, spasms in the one side of my face, and then I'm thinking like, it's more like health anxiety for me though. I've had like spasms in like this area of my face, and I'm thinking, shit, am I having a stroke? And then my blood pressure will go up because I'm having an anxiety attack. I had one yesterday. Thought I was dying. I get waves of like pins and needles down my legs sometimes. I get headaches a few times, but then I think, is that because my head's down all the time? Just stuff like that. Like I worry a lot about health, and I vape and stuff like that. I've gone down in nicotine percentage now because I don't think that was doing much good for my brain. But I think I've got a brain tumor all the time. I think I've got fucking tumors of the spine and stuff like that because I'm forgetting things. I'm showing signs of stress now. And that's one of the things I think you have to take care of yourself. You have to get into a routine. I think being in a routine is massive. Exercising is massive, because as soon as that chemical imbalance in your brain starts to happen, it's a downward spiral, and you can get into a deep place very quickly. And I think exercising gives off good hormones in the brain, chemicals in the brain. I think it's serotonin, isn't it? But cortisol is what you want to steer clear of. You don't want to reduce it and too much, because you need certain levels of cortisol in your brain to be able to function. You need cortisol to wake you up in the morning, for instance. But too much cortisol in the wrong time of day can lead to depression and anxiety. And being ill, I've had COVID over the last 3 weeks. I think I'm suffering a bit from long COVID. It's given me health anxiety and stuff, and it's just my mind's wandering too much. And tattooing, I'm finding it quite hard to concentrate as well as I did with tattooing, because I'm getting heart palpitations and shit, and I'm thinking, fucking hell, I'm gonna die, bruv. Like, why is my heart doing that? But as long as you keep telling yourself it's normal, and just to get checked out, just go and get a blood test or a full body MOT like once every couple of years or whatever, or every year. Like, you can't really put a price on your health, so I think it's important to do that. But I think being a creative person, you're definitely going to be susceptible to that. And yeah, Kidder Inc. just says, that's mad because I'm 30 and I have the exact same health anxiety. I have young kids now too, so being healthy is more important than ever. And that's exactly it. I've got a daughter as well, and she's 3.5, 4 years old now, and it's just a scary time to, I never used to worry about my health when I was younger, and now I'm getting a bit older and I can't drink now. If I have a beer, for instance, I'll feel fucked the next day. I'll get room spinning symptoms of anxiety, and I'm thinking, fucking hell, have I just had a seizure kind of thing? And it's just like, you start going to Google and stuff. That's even worse. You start going on this spiral, you start overthinking, and then before you know it, your blood pressure's up. And I've checked my blood pressure yesterday and it was like 150 over 100, and I was thinking, fucking hell, it's high. And it's because I'm worrying about it. So there are ways to combat that. And that's through exercise. That's through, breathing techniques, meditation. I meditate a lot. I focus on, breathing techniques as well. I've had it a couple of times during this podcast, to be honest, heart palpitations and room going dizzy. You just try and firm it, I think that's the one thing you have to do as a man, is you have to get on with your things. You have to be in a routine. I think you have to do what you need to do as a man every day. And I think if you stick to a routine and you exercise and you eat well, I think you can't do much more than that. But I don't take many days off. So I've had a few days off over Christmas. I've been working this week. I literally had 2 days off, 3 days off max. And then I've been working, and normally people take days off between Christmas and New Year because there's only like 4 or 5 days in between, so they book it off. Now I just can't. I need to be working. I need to work. I need to grind every day. If you think it's okay not to work every day, then you think it's okay to be average. I think you need to be on top every single day. You have to work every single day as a man. I think it's imperative to do that, because status for a man is a real thing. And the more you look at status and how men are valued and how women are valued, because that's all there are in this world, men and women, you will quickly realize that men's status is valued on how much they can provide, how, a protective element to them, how protective they are. It's protect and provide, isn't it, for a man? And there's other things that women look for, and I think women they're valued on their empathy, they're valued on their loyalty, they're valued on their nurturing ability, and their caring ability. Being promiscuous is bad, I think. That's just my opinion, but I think, it's I know this is off topic, but the first thing a woman says to another woman when they're in a fight is, "You're a hoe, you're a slag, you're this, that, and the other," and that's because they know deep down in their makeup as a woman that being promiscuous is one of the worst things you can do, because it devalues yourself. But we're not going to get on to that. So what's the best age to get tattooed? The best age to get tattooed, in my opinion, is between 20 and 24. I've come up with that age because when I was 18, I got tattoos that I thought that were really sick. And now I'm 31. I regret some of my tattoos I've got now. I'd definitely go back to not having any tattoos. I'd keep like my throat. I'd keep like the script under my chin. I like all that. My head tattoo I like, but it's those things I got when I was 22, 23. So I think between 20 and 24 is a good age to first get tattooed, because it gets rid of all the immature kind of thoughts that you had when you were 18, thinking this was a good idea, out the way. And I've been subject to that. I've had YOLO written on my neck, tattooed on my neck. It was on this side. I had YOLO here. I had YOLO on my neck, and then Drake brought out that song YOLO. Do you know what? I went onto Google and I put in what's it called? It's like a anagram, isn't it? Is it an anagram? Well, what's a cool four-letter word, like a cool meaning for a 4-letter word, basically? And YOLO came up, and I was like, you only live once, and I was like, I like that. When I was 18, so I got it tattooed on my neck, and then Drake brought that fucking song out, YOLO, and I was like, great. And then when I went into, because I was a plumber back then, when I was 18, I was plumbing, and I was going into schools, right? And I was about 21, 22. No, I wasn't. I must have been 18, 9. Yeah, I was about 19, I think. And I was going into schools, and they were absolutely ripping the piss out of me, and it was hilarious. And I was like, I need to get this covered. So I got a lady. You can kind of see it through here. I got like a lady to cover it up, and obviously the tattooist I went to was the tattooist that did all my tattoos back then. They just healed super light, didn't use black enough ink, and the YOLO came through the lady's head so you could still see it. So I got Pat to go through with a mandala on my neck to cover them both up. So that's a triple fucking cover up on my neck, which hurt like shit. Getting tattooed stupid hours on your neck is not fun. But I'd rather have that than YOLO on my neck. But yeah, I think the best age to get tattooed is probably between 20 to 24, because you get rid of the immature thoughts that you might have when you're 18 to what you think looks good. And when you're on social media as well, I didn't really use social media back then as much as people do now. It didn't really exist back then to what it is now. And I think a lot of people follow trends, and I think trends die out very quickly. and I think this fine line stuff will die out pretty quick. I really do. I think it's going in waves. I think fine line stuff will die out, and I think there's people that have got fine line work done that will go for a different look because something new will come in. You know, dot work was a massive trend when I was first tattooing 8-9 years ago. Geometric dot work was the bollocks. It was like the new kind of tribal kind of stuff, and everyone had tribal back in the day. And I still think dot work looks sick. I think it looks the bollocks, and I think there's definitely I think it looks good around realism, this stuff, whereas fine line, it's good on its own. Patchwork tattoos are a bit different. They use a bit more. Patchwork tattoos, you tend to use a bit more of a thicker needle, like a 3-round or a 5-round in some cases, and you've got shade in there, you've got stipple shading or mag shading in there, so it's going to last a bit longer. And it looks, I personally like the patchwork as long as it's not too fine, but like fine line roses or whatever, or like a face or whatever, I think that's going to go out of fashion very quickly. I think it's maybe got another year or 2 years in it, and then it's gone. It'll be interesting to know, actually. It'll be interesting to see if these fine line studios will employ black and grey artists in the future. In the next 3 years, I'll go back to this video and I'll clip this because it'll be very interesting to see. I know there's always going to be people wanting fine letters and fine words and stuff like that, right? You know, the Justin Bieber behind the ear believe in small fine letters. I think there's always going to be a market for that. I just put them down to small tattoos, really. But I think the fine line stuff will definitely die out eventually. It might come back round again because everything comes back round, like, you know, fashion and stuff like that comes back round, doesn't it? Now, the last topic I want to speak about before we go is, are social media algorithms killing the industry? And I believe they are. I think this 2 years ago, before, well, I'd say, yeah, pre-COVID, 2020, pre-COVID. So 3 years ago, I'd say the tattoo industry was thriving on social media. I think with short form video content like Reels and TikTok has killed this industry off. I think there's people, you have to be a social media influencer to get clients these days. And I think I've definitely felt the brunt of that. Pictures, you know, posting a picture on social media on your Instagram feed is definitely different than posting a reel. You get much more reach on a reel. So you have to make it, you know, you have to start, instead of just not worrying about recording your fucking stencil coming out of the stencil machine and then ripping the stencil paper off of the client's skin and capturing 15 seconds of that and then going in with a couple, you know, having a holder, a phone holder or a camera holder to, you know, have a close up of your tattoo technique as you're fine lining your tattoo into the skin. I think it's very hard. I think you have to keep up with it, and I think that's just the way that the industry's gone. I think you really do have to keep up with social media trends now. I think that's just, you know, all the old people, they're going to struggle to get clients, dude. They really are. I feel for the old school type of people. I kind of agree with it and I kind of don't. I don't like the fact that you have to become a social media influencer now to get clientele. And this kind of ties into manifesting as well, doesn't it? You know, you can get clients by manifesting them up, but then you have to put in the time and the work. You have to start editing reels, you have to start posting reels, you have to be clever with how you go about your marketing. And that's what it is. It's marketing. Social media is a marketing tool. It's not a place where you can, you know, it's not a place where I know a lot of people use it as this, but a lot of people use it as a reality fucking TV show without the cameras there, and they post all aspects of their life on there, and that's horrific. I think social media, like Ed Sheeran said it best. I saw a clip of Ed Sheeran saying social media is a marketing tool, and that's how it should be. Instagram is effing artists right now. Party of why I'm so over it. Partly of why I'm so over it. Tons of followers and no one sees it. Exactly that. I've got Instagram is a marketing monopoly, B Wild says. No one sees it, and if you don't post it at the same time on the same days, it's dumb. Yeah, exactly that. I think Dan says, oh yeah, now I need to make little videos to get seen. Nah, doggy, I'm living my life, I don't care who knows it. Yeah, the thing is with that kind of mindset, I do agree with that mindset, but the thing is with that mindset as well, bro, is if you don't play the game, you're not going to win. And I think being savvy with it, maybe creating posts and setting it up on a timer, because you can do that now with Instagram. You can set posts up to have a timer when they post automatically. Just do that. That's what I do a lot of the time. I won't post stuff for like 3 or 4 days, but then when you don't post stuff every day, your interaction goes down. So then you have to post every day, even if it's like something, you know, it's like over Christmas, I saw a video of that old guy with the Raiders tattoos. I was like, do you know what? I need to post something. So I literally just made it quickly for 10 minutes and just went about my day. And I think it's got, let's have a look. Let's have a look at the numbers it's done. It's done some good fucking numbers. View insights. It's had 30,000 views. It's had 771 likes, 21 comments, 39 saves. It's only reached 15.8 thousand followers, and non-followers it reached 2,700. Now, you know, you can still that's still pretty decent numbers for someone that didn't post for 4 days, 3 days between posting. So this is what I mean. You're always going to see a drop off. You're always going to see a drop off of interaction, and you need to just play the game. You need to post. So what I've learned from the current algorithm on Instagram is you have to post 1 to 2 reels a day, and maybe a post a day. I think reels are more important than posting. So if you used to post 2 reels a day, I think that's all you can do. TikTok's different. TikTok's got the best algorithm, I think. TikTok's definitely got the best algorithm. I think it's way more harder to it's harder to post what you want to post on TikTok, because the copyright algorithm is mental on there. I think they're avoiding lawsuits on that platform like the plague. I think to post, I make a lot of my reels in Splice, and then I'll go over to CapCut and, you know, put captions over it and stuff like that, and effects like transitions and stuff in CapCut. That's how I do mine. And it literally takes me like half an hour. And especially with these template things you can get now on CapCut, templates are really good on CapCut, because you can just choose a template you like and just upload your fucking content into it, and it does it all for you. It's easy. Saves you less time. So that's one thing I definitely recommend. CapCut's a great app, and it's free, I think, as well. So for me, I think to answer the question, are social media algorithms killing the industry? I think yes and no. I think yes, if you don't keep up with it, it's definitely killing the industry. It's definitely going to make it harder for you to get clients. 100%. I've seen that. But you just have to play the game. You have to play the game. Otherwise, you're not going to win. Daniel Harris says, yeah, it's a shitty paradox we live in. But yeah, you're right. Like the lotto, got to be in it to win it. And exactly that. I'm just on TikTok, few posts, but gaining followers really fast. Yeah, and that's what it is. It's one of them. It is one of them. But yeah, guys, let me know if you enjoyed this episode today, because I will jump on for week 2. I'll get some, smash some comments down in the comment section on what you want to see me talk about. It can be anything from world things. I don't really want to get into political stuff. I try and stay clear of that, speaking about that on the internet, but even for, you know, men's mindset and mental health, and you can always tie it back into tattooing, you know. I think these you know, self-help gurus and stuff like that, I think I've definitely got a good view on the world and how it works, and I think it's a good idea for me to talk about, because it just, you know, if I can help someone's mental, then I'm all for it. And I think it definitely helps me get out some things off my chest. This is kind of like a therapy for me, to be honest. This is a weekly therapy session. But yeah, I thank you everyone for tuning in and sticking with me for the whole episode. It's been nearly 2 hours long now, bloody hell. Big shout out to you guys in the chat. Thank you. And if you want to see another episode, week 2 maybe, I'll write some things down on what to talk about for next week, and we will do it next week, same place, same time, Thursday next week. Let's have it. Please smash that like button, guys. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, man. Stay winning. Stay